In Somalia, a U.S. airstrike has killed over 100 people in Washington claims were members of the Al-Shabaab militant group. According to Somalia's state news agency, the attack was carried out 125 kilometers northwest of the capital, Mogadishu. The Pentagon claims the raid was done in coordination with Somalia's federal government. The Al-Qaeda-linked group has denied the attack. There have been 29 U.S. strikes confirmed by the Pentagon so far this year in Somalia. Rights groups have continually expressed concern that such attacks would increase casualties among civilians in the African country.
12, the age you have to be to operate a boat in Wisconsin. 15 and a half, the age you have to be to get a driver's permit. But what about the age to operate a firearm, to handle a gun? Alex Miller joins us now with that answer because Wisconsin recently made a big change when it comes to hunting.
Yeah, Governor Walker quietly signed a bill into law on a weekend that would let you or anybody else take a child of any age hunting.
Looking to go hunting this season, but are you only 6 years old? Try Wisconsin. The state just passed a law that eliminates the minimum age to operate a firearm. Previously, beginning at 12 years old, children could hunt alone. They could start hunting at 10 as long as they had a mentor. In the week since the law took effect, the Associated Press reports a kindergartner shot her first buck. Jerry Bonavia is the executive director of the Wisconsin anti-violence effort. She says the citizens in her state had not been calling for this kind of change.
First, it felt really unnecessary. There are certain activities that are just inherently dangerous for young children to participate in. And so we as a society have said, look, let's put some limitations on these, on particular activities.
She points to laws like driver's license and car seat weight limits as examples.
Your child has to be in a car seat, but when he or she gets out of the car seat, we can hand that child a firearm. I mean, just on the face of it, that seems ridiculous.
But Gun Owners of America Executive Director Larry Platt says this law is necessary to take the state out of the driver's seat.
Primarily, I see busybodies in the government who don't think parents should be entrusted to make decisions for their children.
He thinks hunting should be a family decision, one where parents can evaluate themselves if a child is ready to hunt.
This is not something that needs to be in the hands of the state because people are different. Some kids are much more able to learn things at a younger age than others are.
Wisconsin joins 34 other states that have no minimum hunting age. The Badger State moved the legislation fairly quickly, introing the bill in July and passing it in November, just as hunting season is beginning. The Republican-led Assembly passed the bill 57-32 with 4 Democrats supporting and 3 Republicans voting against it. The law also lists a ban on hunters carrying multiple firearms when they hunt with children.
It's so interesting, this story to me, Alex, because in a lot of families, I'm from Missouri, that this is pretty normal. My dad took me to shoot guns when I was 5 or 6, I remember, for the first time.
That's what they say, that some of these kids have the wherewithal to operate the guns, and the man that I spoke to from Gun Owners of America was saying that, that people aren't going to let their kids, their 2-year-olds, operate a gun.
Just go, yeah. Okay, so far we've seen piecemeal approaches, right, state by state, a lot of these laws, but some states are binding together. They want a federal law when it comes to conceal and carry?
Yeah, so South Carolina, Missouri, Alabama, Louisiana, and Montana, they put a bill together that they want the federal government to pass. They want states that have lax concealed carry laws to be, if you have a concealed carry permit in those states, if you go to a state that doesn't have that, they want you to be able to take it with you and you don't have to abide by that state's law. It's supported by virtually every Republican in the Senate and in the House as well.
Yeah, because you cross the state line, you don't know the rules there.
Yeah, well, but you got to follow their laws too.
Yeah.
As two of the strongest countries in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and Iran have vied for dominance in the region for decades. The divide also falls along religious lines. The Sunni monarchy in Saudi Arabia versus the Shiite revolutionary forces in Iran. While not officially at war, the two countries do fight each other through proxies in other states. Iran is hugely influential in Syria, Lebanon, and parts of Iraq, while Saudi Arabia exerts its influence in Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, and the United Arab Emirates. Now, tension between Saudi Arabia and Iran escalated with the civil war in Syria. but even more so when Yemen's civil war broke out in 2015. The Saudis have unleashed devastating airstrikes in Yemen against the Iran-backed Houthi rebels. But the well-equipped Houthis are entrenched in the ground war. They even fired a missile at Riyadh from inside Yemen. The Saudis shot it down, but were enraged, calling the attack an act of war by Iran itself. So as you can see, there are a lot of competing things playing out in the different countries. Lebanon, that's another case in point. Iranian-backed Hezbollah is part of the Lebanese government, while the prime minister, who resigned abruptly, was seen as being an ally of the Saudis. Saudi Arabia and Iran have never launched direct attacks on each other, but if either did, it could be devastating. Open conflict between their powerful militaries would almost certainly engulf the entire region.
Why are they here? The government knows who these people are. The government has been tracking them. So if the government knows who they are, if Rav Goodale stands up in the House of Commons and tells that there are 60 ISIS people in Canada, that means they have the information on these people, on these individuals. They know who they are. They know that they had left Canada and now they have returned to Canada. Why were they allowed to enter?
Well, that's a great point. I mean, I go through customs from time to time, and they, I show my receipts if I'm bringing back any gifts. They ask me how much money I bought in gifts, and like I'm grilled, and maybe I go to secondary interrogations over trivial matters. Can you imagine someone coming back from Syria and Iraq who had been over there for years, who was on a watch list, and they would be whisked right through, or who knows, maybe they were asked questions and then released. But why? I mean, surely they could be held. I mean, I know for a fact we have various provisions in our criminal code. They're extraordinary provisions, but therefore detaining people about whom there is a real and imminent risk that they would be it's like a dangerous offenders provision. But for terrorism, how could all 60 of them have been waved through? That is shocking to me.
Ezra, my concern is these are not simply common criminals. These are not drug traffickers. These are not people that, under some sort of criminal code, Canadian criminal code, that you would go and arrest them. These are people who joined in a war against Canada, against the West. Al-Qaeda's leader, the late Osama bin Laden, in one of his first messages to the world, had mentioned Canada by name, that they are at war against the West, and Canada was mentioned. Similarly, ISIS have mentioned Canada by name. These are people who went from Canada, whatever their background of terms of ethnicity, race, and where they were born or who they are, but they travel out of Canada on Canadian passport to join people, entity, an organization that has been waging war against the West and against Canada since at least 9/11. Now these people have returned as if they came back from a holiday, going to the Swiss Alps or to the French Côte d'Azur. I mean, this is outrageous.
For this next report, I'd like to talk about superhumans. Express News is reporting that chips inserted into brains will give us mind-blowing abilities within years. Here's that report. Superhumans could exist in just 15 years thanks to a computer chip inserted into the brain to unlock mankind's full potential. People will be able to buy new memories and delete unwanted ones in the near future, as experts believe they are close to biohacking the body's most powerful tool. Speaking at Lisbon's Web Summit, Brian Johnson, the founder of Kernel, a startup researching the possibilities of microchips being inserted into the brain, says unlocking the true potential of the mind is the single greatest thing humanity can achieve. Kernel's first step is to design chips that can help fight disease, but then it hopes to evolve the brain to offer superhuman abilities. The firm's website reads, to further explore our own human boundaries, a wave of new technology needs to emerge that can access, read, and write from the most powerful tool we have, the human brain. It goes on to state that at Cornell, our primary aim is to develop technologies to understand and treat neurological diseases in new and exciting ways. We will then interpret the brain's complex workings in order to create applications towards enhancement. Mr. Johnson told the audience at the Web Summit, I would expect in around 15 to 20 years we will have a sufficiently robust set of tools for the brain that we could pose any question we wanted. For example, could I have a perfect memory? Could I delete my memories? Could I increase my rate of learning? Could I have a brain-to-brain communication? Imagine a scenario where I say I want to know what it's like to be a cowboy in the American West in the 1800s, and someone creates that experience mentally. I am able to take that and purchase that from that person and experience that. When Mr. Johnson was questioned on whether such technology could cause further divisions in society between those that do have a neural implant and those that do not, the founder of Braintree, which was sold to eBay for $800 million in 2013, said that he believes such technology will become like smartphones. He said the bigger question on this is working on this a luxury or a necessity? I don't understand what we are so scared of losing. And finally, he stated, I don't know why it would not be the singular focus of the human race, because everything we do stems from our brain. How they make it sound so easy and convenient. Just insert this chip into your right hand or into your head and you will have all of your diseases cured. You will have a sharper memory and you will also be able to delete your memories. The sky is the limit. That's what they want you to think. However, the Bible has already prophesied about a mark in your right hand or in your forehead. In fact, Revelation chapter 13 verses 16 through 18 says, And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is a number of a man, and his number is 666. And Mr. Johnson has asked, what are we afraid of losing? How about our souls for starters? Revelation chapter 14 verses 9 through 11 says, And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast, and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. One day in the near future, it'll actually be considered a crime not to have a mark on your right hand or on your forehead. You will not be a part of society without it. You will not be able to buy or sell anything. But as I just read to you in scripture, anybody who takes the mark of the beast or worships the image of the beast will be separated from Jesus Christ forever and will lose their soul for eternity. That's a long time for a little bit of convenience for a very short time. But I just thought that report was very interesting because we are going in that direction, you guys, with this technology that continues to increase more and more every day. But I will definitely continue to keep you guys updated as these reports continue to be developed, but stay tuned because I do have